Hey, I'm Joel with Power Stance Import Export, and if you came across this video through an eBay listing, thanks for watching. That's what these videos are for. But if you happen to stumble across the video through a random search or YouTube suggestion and you have any questions about these vehicles, don't hesitate to give us a call at the number listed here, or find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the YouTube channel at Power Stance Import Export. We are the largest supplier of Land Rover Defenders in Michigan and most of the Midwest. So if you've ever wanted to own a Land Rover Defender, give us a call, find us online, and we are a licensed used car dealer right here in Oxford, Michigan. Hello, and up for sale today, I've got a beautiful 1990 Land Rover Defender 110 5-door county station wagon with the 200 TDI. This is a UK import, so it's right-hand drive. It has been legally imported. It's now located here in Oxford, Michigan, and comes with a clean, clear Michigan title. So let me walk you around the vehicle. I'll show you the inside. Maybe I'll show you the outside, the underside, and we'll go for a test ride. Okay. So, if you've got a $30,000 budget, give or take, for a Defender, let me tell you why you should pick this one over another one with maybe a better paint job or so. Because that's the only thing I can really fault this vehicle on, is the paint. A little bit of corrosion here, a good amount of corrosion that might be needed to be fixed there. A little bit of bubbling here and there. The paint is pretty decent, but this vehicle comes with all sorts of really expensive aftermarket goodies. Starting off here at the front, winch bumper. This is like 1/4-inch steel or 1/8-inch steel at least. Super heavy duty winch bumper. We've got the 200 TDI out of a Discovery. A lot of people like to swap these out for the originals because the Discoveries have a little bit more horsepower, a little bit more top speed. We've also got this genuine protection and performance roll cage, and this is not just cosmetic aftermarket. You can see this piece of metal right here. This roll cage is attached to the frame at like 6 different points, maybe 8 or so. There's a roll cage on the inside as well. So this thing is super safe in a rollover. So yeah, these roll cage points don't just stop right there at the body panel. They go all the way through the paneling and down into the chassis. So there's a new center outrigger, and you see that right there. That's where the roll cage actually hooks to the frame. So this is a legitimate roll cage. New rear cross member. Chassis is in pretty decent condition. It's a little bit dirty, but it's definitely got a nice coating of rust proofing on in the last couple years. All right, so we'll look at the underside later on, but circling around the vehicle, sliding rear windows, full-size spare tire, and that's another thing that's a nice addition to this vehicle, is a beautiful set of 16-inch sawtooth aluminum alloys. Those don't come stock. And a nice added little bonus here, you can see we got an extra 3 inches there in the floor. That's because this is a water tank. There's your valve, and this is where you fill it up. This is not your fuel fill. This is where you can fill this with water. So it looks to be about, I'd say 20 gallons, maybe 20 to 30 gallons. And you just flip this valve here and it dumps out down here and you got fresh water. So rear cross member, a little bit of paint flaking on here, but it is new and solid. It's just some paint that needs to be brushed off and redone. Corners and cappings are all in great shape. Window seals, all good. So this is a beautiful truck. Just a little bit of corrosion here and there, sadly, which is kind of typical on the upper door parts. And these are all aluminum panels, so this is not rust, this is galvanic corrosion, I guess is what they call it. So a little bit at the bottoms here, but the doors are in great shape. The frames are not rusty. All 4 doors, all 5 doors actually. I mean, there's a tiny bit of rust right there, but I've definitely seen way worse. In the interior here, a nice aftermarket set of seat covers, floor mats, plenty of soundproofing in here as well. This is your battery shutoff, center cubby box, aftermarket center console with tons of switches. I think the previous owner removed a bunch of exterior lighting because there isn't any anymore. So that can be mounted to the roof rack or the roll cage, and also lighting on the front. Winch bumper could be added. We've got checker plate here on the wings. Bulkhead is in great shape as well. Windscreen seal looked good. The bonnet is a gloss black. The exterior is like a metallic sheen silver. We've got nice light surrounds and stock grille. These light surrounds have been painted as well with the metallic silver. And again, in the engine bay here, we've got, you know, there's a little bit of non-stock, some aftermarket plumbing here to fit the Discovery 200 TDI. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to say that's a brand new cylinder head. And take a look at that engine block. That looks so clean. I would venture to say that this entire motor's been rebuilt. I don't have any documentation on it, but you can see I have not washed this off. That's a new cylinder head for sure. And that's a very clean engine block with new gaskets on the oil breather. And yeah, that, you know, that's way too clean to be stock. Injection pump as well. That looks like it's been remanufactured. Timing belt looks like that's been redone. There's a new gasket here on the water pump, so that's been redone. These hoses are new. That's a good looking radiator hose, top and bottom. We've got some real heavy duty aftermarket oil cooler lines as well. A couple extra relays there. I think those go to the switches on the dashboard and might have something to do with the winch that used to be here. But yeah, lots of aftermarket goodies on here. And she's a real beaut. Let's go ahead and get it fired up. The heat comes out nice and strong. Let's see, glow plug. Oh, didn't even need the glow plug. She fires right up. So no fan. We do have an aftermarket cooling fan on the radiator here, which is nice. Oil looks pretty clean actually. Blow by, back pressure. Very smooth revving engine. And no smoke out of the tailpipe. Alright, so let's take a look underneath it. Okay, at the rear here, 200 TDI has rear drum brakes. The springs look a little rusty, flaky, but you know, there's no noise or any rattling coming out of the suspension, so they're just a little bit tatty, but they're doing their jobs. Could easily be replaced. Bushings on the sway bar look like they're in place. A little bit of dry rotting and cracking in there, but not a big deal. Rear axle, again, some surface rust and some paint flaking, but all in all, pretty solid. A little bit of moisture on the bottom that could be coming from the pinion seal or the actual cover seal itself. Again, super easy to remove that and just put a new RTV sealant on there. But all in all, looks pretty solid back here. There's a look at the rear chassis, and pretty solid. That's where the new rear crossmember was welded on. All right, All right, again, looks like we got some old man Emu shocks here that have been, installed a few years ago. A little bit of surface rust on them, but those are real good shocks. Pinion seal looks pretty decent. I see some new hardware there on the drive shaft, but that does not look new. Maybe just the bolts were replaced. Pinion seal looks pretty decent, actually. I don't see anything dripping out of there. Here's a look at the rear chassis. Galvanized outrigger that's been replaced. Looks like we got a new muffler, at least a new silencer. The downpipe looks original. There's your handbrake. There's your, all right, a little bit of leak out of the transfer case. Could be that bottom gasket there. And then here's the bottom of the bell housing. Transmission looks like you got your typical 200 TDI oil pan dripping. And there's a look at the front axle. A little bit of a dent there in the middle cross member. And there's a look at the front outriggers. Okay, down the front here. Hey, look, we got a set of dust covers, and the swivels look good. All right, that's good. That's good news. Shocks and springs, old man Emu's up front as well. There's the front axle. Fill plug looks good. Just a little bit of flaky paint on the axle, but still doing its job. And here's the passenger side. Swivels look good as well. And let's see if we can get a look at the bottom. Yeah, there's a little bit of oil coming out of the sump seal. Again, if you've seen any of my videos, a lot of these 200 TDIs have a leaky sump seal, and it's an hour job to remove that, clean it up, and put a new sump seal on there. So not a big deal. Pretty solid under here, pretty typical. Nothing, no red flags. Ball joints, tie rod ends look good. Steering arm's kind of hard to see with the skid plate in here, but the steering's nice and solid. Actually, it looks like a new ball joint there, so that's good. Old man Emu steering stabilizer as well, and nice skid plate. All right, so let's take her for a drive, show you all the gear changes and whatnot. And we're going down a dirt road this time, so we can feel some bumps here and there. First thing I notice about this truck is you can definitely tell that the muffler is new. It just sounds factory, doesn't sound as tractor-like as some with a bad muffler. Heat's working great. We got a nice seating position with the steering wheel. It's aftermarket steering wheel. It's smaller than stock, so it's got a good amount of clearance on either side, so your hand's not right up against the window. And it's a pretty solid ride. So let's take her down the road and see what she got. Second gear. And we're accelerating uphill right now. So we're in third gear, going uphill. Still accelerating, no problem. Plenty of low end torque out of this whole vehicle. We're doing about 30 miles an hour right now. And there's fourth gear. I can make this turn, but I'm going to show you reverse here, so we know that that's working. Reverse gear. First gear again. Let's go through the gears. No grinding. Nice solid gear changes. gauge is working, showing that the alternator is charging the battery. And